Homovision.
Back in the day when Twisted came out and everything, you had your fair share of drugs and clubbing it. Would you go back and change anything about that?
No. I had an awful lot of fun. No, there's nothing I would change about it. I mean, I did lose a number of years. I mean, it's really weird now, kind of, doing performances. Because the past few performances I've done, I've been completely and utterly stone cold sober. And, you know, have meditated beforehand and all this kind of stuff. Whereas when Twisted came out, it was half a bottle of vodka and 3 Valium and, you know, and trundling onto stage. And I said the other day to someone, oh, I'm going to perform Twisted, and I haven't done it in years. And they said, oh, I saw you perform it at Substation on Dean Street. And I said, did you? Did I? I have no memory of it, you know, because I was really nervous before those performances, and thought it was kind of rock and roll and clever, and that it would help my nerves, which it did, I guess, on some level, to get tanked up before I went on stage. But I don't remember a lot of those performances. So that's, you know, though I wouldn't change any of that because it was what I felt like doing at the time, and I've learned from that. It is a bit of a shame that I can't remember some of the things I did.
And what about like mental health as well? I mean, how would you say, you know, all drug use all that time, how has that affected? I mean, has it had any side effects?
I don't doubt it. I mean, my drug use coupled with my emotional problems at the time, which kind of one fed the other, led to me kind of having minor nervous breakdowns. I'd say I had a few of them. But in many ways that was good. I saw help, and that was eye-opening and hard work to kind of like to work through that stuff, which I still am. I think once you start kind of looking into your issues, I don't think you can stop. They never really go away. And you know, I think I'm prone to being quite depressed anyway. And drug use is always going to make that worse. I mean, the thing is, I didn't really take it on board as the two being linked together a few years ago. So I could quite innocently go out and, well, not innocently, but I would go out and trash myself and not really take responsibility for the price I was going to pay for that. Now, if I go out and party, I can't do it with the willful abandon that I used to, because I know how it's going to end, which is in tears and with me quite sad and possibly feeling suicidal. So knowing that beforehand makes the whole thing a lot less fun.
Do you think we're like a sleepwalking generation of gays?
I think we are. We have less to fight for now. We've achieved quite a lot as a community. So around gay pride is just a party now. You know, I remember marching for age of consent and you know, all the different times that changed. And now what are we marching for? We're marching so we can get trashed in Soho all Saturday afternoon. And there's not many things that happen where the whole community unites together. You know, and I know, you know, from having worked in the gay press for years, I got very disillusioned with the gay charities.
Why was that?
They often were quite badly run, and I saw them lose a lot of money. This is not all of them, and, you know, I'm being quite general here. But I did see a lot of charities lose money through stupidity. Whether that was through Pride, there were lots of fuck-ups with Pride and the way that was organised. Some of the AIDS charities, it was kind of upsetting. There were a lot of people paid a lot who were high up on the board, and you wondered how the money actually got in there. And there were fundraising events that were, you know, because as editor of one of the gay magazines, would give away free adverts to charity events and stuff. And they'd be disastrous. They'd put on these ill-advised events that would lose money. And I think over time, it eroded people's generosity. So that was kind of upsetting to me. So, you know, there was a time kind of in the 80s when a lot of people were dying, where people gave up their time to work for charities and they went to visit people in hospitals, and that's kind of changed now. You know, you don't see people ill so much anymore. So that's kind of changed things. People only come out and present themselves on the street when they're looking well. And there isn't really a feeling of community around that anymore. And it's not like it's gone away. HIV/AIDS, that is, in case you were wondering. It hasn't gone away. But, you know, there's an awful lot of denial around the illness that comes with that. You know, people present it kind of like, well, you can take your combination therapy and it's fine. Look at her over there. She's really beautiful. She's been HIV for years, and look at her. She's great. She goes to the gym and all the rest of it. And that is, you know, sometimes you will be, but people have a public persona that they present. You don't see them at home when they've lost weight and they're going through terrible diarrhea and they're going through awful depression and they've got sores or whatever the side effects are. You don't see that anymore because they stay at home. They only come out on the street when they're fabulous and they've gone on a course of roids. So what you see and what is the reality are two different things. We're all really good at PRing ourselves. You know, whereas 15, 20 years ago, there were the Walking Dead people walking around, and people weren't interested in PRing themselves. We are the MySpace generation, and we want to present our best profile picture at all times, and that can confuse the message somewhat. You know, there's nothing more tiresome than some old queen banging on about how we've got to find community. It's something that the young should do. And I think it may take something bad to unify them. And maybe it won't unify them at all. Maybe community's over. Maybe we're assimilated into society enough that we don't need to be a tight-knit, strong, fighting community. Maybe there's no need for it. But if a new government came in that suddenly was quite homophobic, or there was suddenly, I mean, it takes something like the Admiral Duncan bombing. Suddenly everyone was in Soho with a candle. You know, you need a kind of tragedy. People need to be drawn together by something drastic. Otherwise, we're just all quite selfish, just trying to get on with our lives. And I think the young, they don't give a shit. They don't care. And they're not feeling you know, and I don't blame them. You know, they go to straight clubs, they've got gaydar. I mean, you know, this is where I sound like an old grump. But, you know, in order to find sex, I had to go to toilets when I was 14, 15. Had there been the internet, I wouldn't have needed to do that. And that changes everything. It democratizes everything. You can find out all the information you want from the internet. Whereas when I was young, you know, I had to find it out the hard way, quite literally. So that was really, really different. And so I can't blame the young for not feeling like they need to do anything.
Okay, also, back to your record. When's it out and where can I get it?
It's out already. There are various mixes of it. I'm signed to Cult Records, that's KULT. I know what you're all thinking, Cunt Records. I'm signed to Cult Records, and you can get it from Beatport. That's a website where you can download music, and there are mixes by all sorts of people. Too long for me to list here, but there's a mix for every taste.
Homovision.